Witam ponownie, z tej strony Polygłos, and this is the penultimate video of the series which will be discussing irregular verbs. Remember, irregular verbs are verbs that don't conform to the rules we've established and don't just mean they're complicated. Complicated verbs aren't necessarily irregular and vice versa. There are rules, but as evident in this series, there are just quite a lot. Remember, this series is meant to make you aware of the processes that go on behind Polish verbs and understand where the majority of verbs come from, rather than giving you a definitive one-fits-all conjugation. I reiterate, check a dictionary. Just beware, I won't be using a table here, I'm only going to list the 3 base forms. Now, the following verbs just decided to do their own thing, so starting with the classic European irregular verb, the copula, to be, bitch. This is the only verb where we have to learn all 6 forms, rather than following our little 3 base form rule. And because this is the only verb that has separate forms in the future tense too, an extra 6 to that. This will just be a list, I apologize. So we have jestem, I am, jesteś, you are, jest, he, she, it is, jesteśmy, we are, jesteście, you all are, są, they are. And I'm aware this is a present tense course, but the separate future forms of bitch are będę, I will be, będziesz, you will be, będzie, he, she, it will be, będziemy, we will be, będziecie, you all will be, będą, they will be. These forms actually follow our 3 rules, so you can be happy about that, I guess. Anyway, verbs that are derived from bitch conjugate with these future forms instead. So zdobyć, to acquire, conjugates as zdobędę, zdobędzie, and zdobędą, instead of, I don't know how else you'd say that, zdojestem? No, don't say that. The other classic is, of course, to have, mieć. Mieć isn't actually that bad, it conjugates like a regular adverb with m, but it's just the infinitive which can be misleading. So we have mam, I have, ma, he, she, it has, and mają, they have. More verbs I consider irregular are verbs with m in the present. Do note that some grammars list this ending as a regular paradigm, but I prefer to call it irregular due to the few circumstances it actually appears in. This includes jeść, to eat, which we inflect, jem, je, jedzą, śmieć, to dare, to do something, śmiem, śmie, śmią, umieć, to be skilled enough to do, or just to be able to, in simpler terms, not to be confused with mieć, which is inflected as umiem, umie, and umieją. Now, you might speak to some Polish people and they might say umią, but that's officially incorrect, so do not say umią, it's umieją. And the last one I could think of was wiedzieć, to know, which is conjugated wiem, wie, and wiedzą. This also applies to derivatives such as powiedzieć, to say, powiem, powie, and powiedzą. Some other irregulars still conform to our 3 rule, but one form just may not be what we're expecting, including but not limited to chcieć, to want, which is conjugated chce, chce, and chcą. This verb almost conjugates like a regular ech verb that is trying to behave like each, except we have chce instead of what we would expect, which is chci. Dać, to give, which is conjugated dam, da, dadzą. Again, almost a regular adverb, except you say dadzą instead of dają. Speaking of which, we have dawać, to give, which is imperfective, which conjugates as daje, daje, and dają. So we actually see that form here instead. Jechać, to go by vehicle, which is conjugated jadę, jedzie, and jadą. Kaszleć, to cough, which is conjugated kaszle, kaszle, kaszlą. Usually we'd expect kaszli in the 3rd person singular, but it's a similar situation to chcieć. Spać, to sleep, is conjugated śpię, śpi, and śpią. Usually we'd expect śpię instead of śpi. Stać się, to become or to happen, which is conjugated stanie się, stanie się, and staną się. Stawać się, to become or to happen, but again imperfective, is conjugated staje się, and stają się. Znaleźć, to find, is conjugated znajdę, znajdzie, and znajdą. Basically, it conjugates as if it was znajść. Żreć, to eat, of an animal, is conjugated żre, żre, and żrą. And last but not least, znawać, a derivative of znać. It can't be on its own, but you find it in words such as przyznawać, to admit, which is conjugated przyznaje, przyznaje, and przyznają. It basically looks like dawać. If we compare it to its perfective counterpart, przyznać, we actually get an identical form, as that conjugates as przyznam, przyzna, and przyznają, so they share a third-person plural form. Another pair of fun verbs are bać się, to be scared, and stać, to stand, not to be confused with stać się from earlier, both of which come from an older bojać się and stojać, which you can still see in their conjugations. Bać się is conjugated boję się, boi się, and boją się. Similarly, stać, which we mentioned at the beginning actually, is conjugated stoję, stoi, and stoją. I should also mention that if you derive a verb from stać, then the verb conjugates like stać in stać się with the n. So wstać, to get up, is conjugated wstanę, wstanie, wstaną, and not wstoję, wstoi, or wstoją. Our last little duo is brać, to take, and prać, to wash, as in to wash fabrics. They have a separate word for that, which are technically ać-to verbs, but have a very special stem change. They have an ultra-rare nothing to to are change. That probably makes no sense, so here are the conjugations anyway. Brać becomes biorę, I take, bierze, he, she, it takes, and biorą, they take. Prać becomes piorę, I wash, pierze, he, she, it washes, and piorą, they wash. And those are the main irregulars. I'll see you in the last part for a final summary of everything I've covered in this entire crash course, just to hammer it home.